Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a little test show on a Saturday morning here. I'm Richard Vobes. This is the Vobes Show. It's the 22nd of May 2021. The morning after the very big gale that we had down here. I say big gale, I mean, it was, what was it, 50 mile an hour winds? I mean, it wasn't a hurricane as such, but it was, severe enough to cause a bit of chaos and mayhem, I'm sure, all over the place. Anyway, never mind all that. I am in the studio here, as ever, but instead of doing the Vobes show in the evening, I'm just testing. I thought I wanted to do a test with the new studio, and when I say the new studio, I mean the other section of the studio, the guest part of the studio. Now, I don't have any guests at the moment, but I'm trying to set it up with lights and cameras and microphones and all of that. Now, if I can switch over to it because I think I've got it all sorted if I can find the mouse. So there it is. None of it's straight or even together, but in theory, I ought to be able to walk over there and chat to you and also take phone calls. Although, to be honest with you, I have to answer the phone at the desk here and then walk over to the studio there. But to give you an idea of what it looks like, if I do this, you will now see the setup that we have. It's the space that I did have has now desperately disappeared. As you can see, that is the space. I've got a camera there. I've got a monitor so I can see what you're saying. And I've got a microphone keyboard, which doesn't work very well because I can't do anything with it. So that is the situation over there. But I just thought I would try it out. So I'm hoping that somebody will call in because I want to see if I can also hear the conversation. Actually, don't call in yet because I actually don't have any headphones on this side of the room. So that's got to be worked out. But when ultimately we'll have guests so that Julia and I can be over here, or Julia and a guest, or me and a guest can be on the other side nattering, and one can be here operating the desk. So I've got a cup of coffee. I'm going to go over there and let's see if it works. So this will be a little bit raw, but let's just see how it goes. Now I'm going to click myself over. Now, I've no idea. First of all, you'll have to tell me. I'm assuming that you can hear me all right. But you'll have to tell me. I have in front of me that little monitor. I know none of this is straight, and I've got to get all of this sorted. I'll probably get a better camera in here, and I want to get the lights on the ceiling. I want to organise my microphone a little bit better. I may order. I've seen some very lovely microphones. Which I'm interested in using, but it's all money, and it just again, if you could see this side of the studio, there's just so much light. Thank God it's LED and nothing else, so that's all good. Right, let's have a look. I want to see if I can actually read your comments from back here. I might just see if I can. How do I blow the comments up? There'll be a magnifying thing, isn't there, on a thing? On a thing. I don't know what I'm talking about. So Mike Stevens is out there. David Baird is out there. Michael White is full of question marks. Jim Hook is also there. Linda Kane says, hello, this is a surprise. Great sound, says Daniel Howell. Thank you very much, Daniel. And Welsh Wanderer Jason Patrick says we can hear you. Oh, by the way, the lovely Julia is out there monitoring and making sure everything's all right. Clear as a bell. No sound, says Michael. Says Mike Stevens. No sound. You should have sound. Everybody else says they've got sound, and I can see it going out on the other screen. So I'm not quite sure. All right. Is it Monday already? Says H. Yes, it is. It is Monday. It is Monday already. So there's a thing. Jim says the mic is a little distant, but clear. Right, okay. I've got nowhere to put my coffee. It is a naff old microphone. Hang on, let me get rid of these headphones out of the way for a moment. If I move my microphone in here, that's probably a bit better. It looks like it's that should be a bit better. Sound is great from the sofa, says Albany Ray. Thank you very much. Now, I forget how. Oh, Zoom. Here we go. Oh, brilliant. There we go. I have just zoomed in on the. I've got a screen here. I nearly put a laptop in, but it's better if I've got a separate little computer, a tiny little computer that we used to do the Vobes show on, and it's sitting there. It just means now we can have somebody over there, somebody over here, and I can cut between the two, which is nice. And in fact, I want to put to my right another. In fact, I want to move this sofa on that wall and put in a soft sofa here so that I can have 2 or 3 guests with 2 cameras this side and a camera over there. And I can cut 4 cameras altogether on this snazzy bit of kit that we and many of you contributed to last year that we bought. It took a while to, I think it was last year that we bought it, and I hadn't done a huge amount with it, but I want to do a lot more with it in the future. So this is really just a test to sort of try it out. And it also, I think it would be great because Julia can come over to this side of the room for the roll call. We can do possibly little game things, and we cut. I just want to vary the shots rather than just the one locked off shot, although the background is great on the main side of the studio. But it does mean that we can have some guests. Of course, they have to be relatively local. We can't expect people to drive miles, but that would be quite. It would be quite nice. Dave says the sound's okay. Jim says it's much better. Perfect. Sound okay now. So how are you? So the first thing one thing I need to do now is just to see if we can try out a phone call. I don't know if there's anybody brave enough to give me a call. I'll have to answer it on the other side because I can't do that from this side of the room, and I want to make sure that I can hear it. Dave says these books will slide out of the picture eventually. Yes, well, I think the books will end up on. I may have to buy some more. If this works, I shall invest in some more book stands. Shelf units, probably the same as before, and get one of those and fill it up with books so that it looks a bit more homely. That would be good. Chatting is great, but would hate being filmed at the same time, says Mike Stevens. The thing is, you basically, once you get in the studio area and you're chatting, you would sooner, forget about the cameras, like on most chat shows. So it wouldn't be a worry. Linda Kane says, off topic a bit, pretty please, can we have all the book spines facing the camera so we can see what you've got? Yes, you certainly can, Linda. They are at the moment, I just dumped them there, but that would be a good idea. That would be good. No, the crooked picture, the crooked picture behind you. Oh, these books will slide off the picture. Yeah, these are interesting books. Here we have, for example, House Training Your Cat by Claudia Eyes-Out. We have Tales of a Nightclub Doorman by Harold Arhue. Big Book of Broths by Soup Ladle. The Cleaning Pot book by Terry Cotter. Linda Kane says, does it include that canal book? Oh, the canal book that you lent me. That, I don't think, is in this pile. It might. I think the canal book is actually in the other side of the studio. Because a lot of the studio books came up there. Yeah, you want that back. I know you want it back. You'll have to come round, Linda, and have a cup of tea, and I will fish it out for you. Just looking to see if I can see it. Kate Evans says, "What about my message?" Oh, Kate, hang on. Did you message before that? Elijah Hartley says hello. I'm just going to scroll up, see if I can scroll up. Oh, why does this not scroll? Oh, it does scroll. Kate, just looking to see your message. Is that the only message you sent, or did you send... Oh, hang on, I've got top chat on. I need live chat, which gives me all the messages, or apparently it gives me all the messages. Sorry, Kate. Just having a look here. Welsh Wanderer, H, is it Monday? What would be really useful? What about the only message I can see is what message? Yeah. What about my message? The only message I can see is what about my message? Hi, I'm at home from... Oh, you're home from hospital, Kate. Oh, fantastic. How are you feeling? Are you okay? That's great news. It's nice to know that you're back. Well done, Kate, says Dave Ivad. Hello, says Audrey Forbes. Hello, Audrey. Yeah, this isn't quite how I would like it. It still looks a bit bare, and the only thing is, of course, it was slammed up right against the wall, and I would like to make that a bit more interesting. I can't put any depth because there is no depth. Oh, we've got a phone call. Right, hang on. I've got to go back to the other side. In theory. Hello, caller. Hang on, bear with me. Hello, caller.
Hello, Richard. Michael White.
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm fine. I thought I'd just ring you up to help you out with your test call.
Oh, that's brilliant. And it works.
Yeah, it sounded a bit echoey at first, but it sounds fine now.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Yeah, this is an echoey room, and I still need to get some soft furnishings in here. That's why I think a nice big, well, not big, but a sofa in here and some tapestries or wall hanging things will deaden the sound a bit.
Yeah, it's looking really good. I wasn't sure whether I'd like it at first because I used to like the sort of cozy look of the old studio, but I can see the new one is looking better and better, really.
I think, I mean, I will try and make this area more cozy. At the moment, it's just sort of thrown together to test it and to see how easy it works, because I don't want to keep spending money unnecessarily if I'm not going to use it. So I've just sort of tested it out. But if it's persuading people to come and be in the studio, that's the thing. So I want to use this for guests, but also for other features that perhaps Julia and I can do, and anybody else who is willing to be a victim. I mean, a guest on the show.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. I mean, I'm not usually nervous about giving my opinion, but I don't really like talking on the phone or being filmed or anything like that, you know.
Oh, well, you're doing very well, I have to say, and we're all friends here, so that's really nice, and you're a lovely contributor to the show with your support, so and all your comments and what have you, and your jokes.
Well, I think my sarcasm is an acquired taste sometimes.
Well, you know, that's the thing with text, isn't it? You know, one can write text and people can take it very much at face value and completely miss the point. And, you know, we've all been texting now for so many years. We all ought to know that often things can be misinterpreted, and perhaps there's another way of looking at it instead of things seeming as if they're rude when they're really just being cheeky and fun.
Well, that's it really. I don't do anything with malice. I just do it for a joke, really. You know, sometimes it depends on the way people take them, but
yeah,
you know, I don't mean to do it to be rude, really.
No, of course not.
Anyway, I'm glad you weren't blown away in your hurricane last night.
Oh, it's nice to see that the wind has stopped a bit, although it's still a bit grey and miserable out there. I mean, it's May, isn't it? Last May, I seem to remember, I was sitting on my step in the sunshine, waiting for permission to go out.
Yeah, I mean, so much for global warming, really. Everything's getting colder, I think.
I know, I know. I mean, we keep getting told all these things, and you keep thinking, well, all right, when is it going to happen? These
Yeah,
12
that's
years
right.
that the doom goblin's been going on about are slowly ticking on, and they're all going to look silly when 12 years go past and not really anything has changed.
Well, they've tried this once or twice before, actually, and it's all fallen through. But I think this time they're determined to push a lot of this green ideology through, and I don't think it's going to benefit a lot of ordinary people, to be honest with you. We're the ones that are going to have to pay for it.
Yeah, well, we end up paying. All of us end up paying for all the mistakes, don't we?
We do, I'm afraid, and we're an experiment at the moment, I think, in lots of ways, but I don't want to get into that.
No.
But I think, sorry, carry on.
Well, I was just going to say I was reading. I've got this book. I did it in my video, which is out today, about the changes in the 20th century. And one of the things I was reading about was these nuclear power stations that were built, because that was the way of making cheap electricity. And apparently, I don't really remember it because I was when those were happening. I was much younger and interested in just getting into acting and doing all the things I do. I was aware of it being around, on the radio and things, on the news, but not really taking that much interest at the beginning. And in this book, he was saying that one of the advertisements was that this was so the electricity would be too cheap to measure, so it would basically be free. And then in the end, it turned out, as he said, that this was the most expensive way back then of producing electricity. Mainly because of the protection and the worry that these things will leak or blow up or get hijacked, but actually the production of it is quite good. But actually, one of the reasons that they wanted to build these things was not so much the electricity, but to produce the nuclear, whatever it was, for weaponry. So there's always an alternative method, an alternative, what's the word I'm looking for? There's an alternative thought behind these things. It's always, everything's so easily spun, and behind the scenes something else is going on.
Well, I think a lot of modern inventions come out of military technology as well, and they find their way into sort of public use after a while. But, I mean, we've got 1,000 years worth of coal still underneath this country, and they've invented places where you can burn fuels and create power without polluting the atmosphere now, but people don't seem to want them. I mean, China's going to carry on burning coal for the next, I don't know, 10, 20 years. And it's probably going to equal the production of the whole world, if not more, So, the thing is, I can't understand is we need CO2 to create the greening of the planet.
Yes.
And if you get carbon neutral, then it means you've got to get rid of people as well, because we're carbon as well. And
I know.
It just seems to be very odd.
I think half the time we're being told this one story, and the other side of the story, which may not benefit the cleaning up of the planet, as if you like, story, or the protection against global warming. But there's so many important things, as you say, that CO2 actually is there for, such as we do need it to grow plants, and actually the more of it you have, the quicker the plants will grow.
I agree, and I think cleaning up of the planet is a great idea. I mean, we can get rid of plastics and things like that. And we can also maybe look at the past to develop ways of growing crops that we don't use fuel for all the time, petroleum-based fertilizers and things like that. There must be other methods of doing these things, but if they don't make money, they're not developed, are they?
No, that's it. Everything has got to make money, and I always find that. I understand that things have got to make money. Everything's got to be paid for, and there's got to be some profit. But it just seems that in this world, maximum profit seems to be detrimental. Having some profit and investing in your staff and investing in your future is good, but maximum profit can take it to a scale that it goes into the danger zone, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it has a knock-on effect with everything. I mean, the more greedy you are, And the more you keep things to yourselves, the more it affects other aspects of life, even down to crime and things like that, where people, they can't make a living, so they look at alternative ways of getting money. I mean, it has a knock-on effect everywhere, really. And, limiting the amount of profit you can make sometimes is a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting when you see these self-made millionaires and billionaires who seem still hell-bent on owning more, grabbing more, and yet they may have come from humble times and would have been, when they were in their humble times, quite happy with 1 million. But they seem to forget that actually now they, what it was like when just to have a few £1,000s would have been something to celebrate. But now it's a few thousand billion is what they're after. And something must click in the mind as you start to get so much wealth that you suddenly, you're in another league, but you forget that all that money is not necessarily benefiting the rest. I mean, I appreciate that without millionaires and billionaires who do create jobs, and we do need that, and I think that's a good thing. But there just seems to be a point where they leave the scale of usefulness, and then it starts to be more on just greed.
Well, they know the value of everything, but the worth of nothing, really, And when you see someone who's content with the simple things in life and the beauty of those things, it's much more important than having so much that you can't even comprehend what you own.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you've got to have managers and accountants to remember what it is that you've got. And you're not even, the people who have 5 or 6 houses around the world and barely go and live in them, you do question that. You think, well,
I do.
Go to the penthouse somewhere and rent that for when you want to be on that side of the world. But do you really need to have, unless of course you're employing, lots of people to maintain it, and you can rent it out and other people can enjoy it, then I think there's merit in that because you're actually giving people employment. But if you've just got property and there's nobody there and it's just huge swathes of land and nobody can go in it and you private keep out and you're only there 1 week in the year, it does seem very unfair. But I'm sure people have a different opinion than mine.
Well, it does, and the deeper you go down the rabbit hole with AI and things like that, and the more that AI replaces human beings, I mean, these people are going to end up very lonely people in the end. If there's no human interaction or if there's no sort of society, then the world is going to become a very, very boring place.
Yeah, well, it does seem to be getting blander and blander in many ways. And I think people's jobs are, I mean, it's difficult to, such a sweeping statement. And I know I make loads of sweeping statements, which of course I only have a very minuscule idea of what the real world is like, because my world is quite enclosed now because I'm self-employed and I do what I do here. But when you do see, I think a lot of people's jobs, a lot of pleasure seems to have gone out of jobs. When you read older books about craftsmen who had pride in what they did and made things with their hands, and of course I appreciate that wasn't everybody, that a lot of people would in the fields and doing back-breaking work and didn't want to be there and all of that. But at the same time, I don't know. Maybe none of it's changed. Maybe there are those who've got fascinating jobs, and there are plenty of people who haven't got fascinating jobs. It's just they're all different, perhaps.
Well, I mean, I was trained originally as an illustrator, and I didn't make a very great living, but I used to really enjoy my work.
Yeah, well, you sent in some work, didn't you? And we really, really loved it.
Oh, thank you. But I mean, the thing is, you can be content with less, and be content with your job and, the kind of lifestyle that you have without making lots of money. And that's the way I felt until technology sort of passed me and more and more photography was being used rather than illustration. And, sometimes these jobs just die away.
Yeah.
And But I would have been more content doing a job like that, earning just enough money to get by, than earning a lot of money. Really, it's. I suppose it depends on your personality, doesn't it? Really.
And it's I always think, well, what are you going to do with the money? Is it just that you're gathering it because it looks good in the bank balance, or are you actually going to use it for something, whether for yourself, your family, or for others?
Absolutely, yeah.
What is the end point, really? Whereas life, I think when you get older, you start to think, well, life is about actually living it, because you realize that the time is ticking and you don't have that much. So a walk in the country, hugging a tree, suddenly become much more important than just acquiring a lot of wealth so that you can get another subscription to a TV thing, or you can, I don't know, do something which is fairly meaningless but seems to boost your social media points online or something.
Definitely. I mean, the things I remember most are little things like going out with my parents or with my cousins, and a trip to the seaside. They're the kind of things you remember as you get older. You don't really remember sitting down and watching the TV or
exactly
things like that. And a lot of people don't have those memories now. They're spending so much time in front of their computers or televisions, and they don't go out and investigate or explore. And probably that's why your show is so popular as well, because a lot of people that can't access the country, they live through you in a way. They look for that inspiration at the beginning of their day, watch one of your videos, and think, oh, how beautiful, I'd love to be there, I'd love to go there, even though they may never ever get a chance to do that. They visited it through you, haven't they?
Yeah, that's true. But going back to what you said about people, when you remember the highlights in your life, and you think back, I think the times people often remember not so much the expensive toys that they were given, but the time with their parents and the times they laughed. If I remember my time with my dad, he gave me a few things. He was a bit mean financially, but the things I remember with him is, as a small kid, is climbing on his back when he was on all fours and riding him like a horse, and having a laugh and those sort of things, which I think kids, need time with their parents and with their friends. And when I think of the times with my friends, it was larking about and climbing trees and, having time together, which costs nothing. Even if you've got just two sticks you've picked up and you're having a make-believe sword fight, or pretending that they're guns and things, and, shooting, all of that sort of thing. I think that's so powerful as a memory and as a joy, whereas that super soaker that was very, very expensive, and it doesn't really penetrate your memory so much, I don't think, for me anyway.
No, I totally agree with what you're saying. I remember, just playing with sticks with my cousins, sword fights and things like that. And it was the imagination that was the most powerful thing. That's what created the memory, and sometimes when you've got everything to hand, you don't need to do that. It's already done for you. Anyway, I don't want to hog your program, Richard. I just thought I'd help you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. At least I know it works, and we've had a lovely conversation, and thank you for calling in, Michael.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you. Thanks very much, Richard.
You take care. Have a good Saturday.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Right, I've got to go over to the other side of the room to switch the phone off. Bear with me. There we go. I've come back now to the other side, as you can see, and I think the phone turned itself off. So, it seems to work, the studio side of things. It'd be lovely to get some guests so we can have some conversation. Thank you, Michael, for calling in. That was very much appreciated. And there's a lot of work to be done to make this a bit more homely and a bit more friendly and user-friendly, and so that people then in the end, the skill about, I think, sort of television and this sort of thing is that you make it just so you don't think about the technology, it just happens, and that you can think about the content and all of that. So that's really good. Just have a quick look at your comments. I don't want to make this too long. I just wanted to do a test show whilst I was fiddling with all the stuff, so that come Monday, Julia can be over that side to do the roll call. I just want to make sure it all works. So, looking at your comments, let's have a little look back. Jim Nook says, normally the Vobes show is on at 5 a.m. So for me, I miss it. So there we are. That's quite handy that it's on now so that you see us live. Linda Kane is well and truly in the UK, which is good to know. Mike Stevens says the conversation about money doesn't apply to him. I'm not quite sure what he means by that. He's probably got more money than we need to worry about. Who knows? David Vad says, depends where you get it made. Yes. Mike Stevens says, rich, yes, but not with money. Yes, rich. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Money helps, but I think richness, the riches in life, and some are having money. I couldn't do this and enjoy what I do without the investment in all of this. But you know, you could spend a fortune on all of this, and possibly get less or no more pleasure. Really, I think. Linda's no, wait a minute. David Vad says a cigar called Hamlet. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. And Welsh wanderer Jason Patrick says, hi Julia Hartley, how are you keeping? So that's all good. I agree, Linda. Too much and almost be as bad as too much can be almost be as bad as too little. Big wins have destroyed many. Oh, on the lottery and things like that. I think it's important to have a goal, isn't it, in life, something to be aiming for, because it's the journey often that is really the thing. You're trying to improve and get somewhere or achieve something, and it is that business of going there, enjoying the journey, not necessarily the end point, because once you've got to the end point, it's like, well, there you are. And then presumably you set another goal of some description, and it's always good, because if you don't enjoy the journey is usually the longest bit, so you might as well enjoy that as best you can, I suppose. Which is why sometimes when I used to do the corporate stuff and I was off long journeys across the countryside to go and do the video testimonials and things that I was sent to do, and I would go up to wherever and stay in a hotel the night before, I'd very often not go on the motorway, because I knew I didn't have to be there at a specific time. I could just go off the motorway and go through villages and things and get off and try and enjoy the journey a bit. Talking of journeys, Mike Stevens says it's better to travel than to arrive sometimes. Exactly. I mean, after all, we are all travelling towards our death. Not a nice thought, but we are all heading towards it. Perhaps we should enjoy the journey, because once we get to our demise, there ain't much more to enjoy. Unless, of course, you have your own personal theories about what happens afterwards. And, you know, that's fine. But all the time we're here, it is well worth trying to enjoy as much of it as we can. Kerry Baldwin says, hello, everyone. Unexpected. Yes, we're just doing a bit of a test on the other side of the studio with the new studio set. So I'll have another chat if anybody wants to have a chat, but I'll finish off fairly shortly. Just wanted to make sure it all works. If you could see all the lights, well, I've shown you all the lights and stuff. I'm glad that these are LED lights and not tungstens, because my little wheel would be going round. Talking of that, I keep getting bombarded. I am somebody who resists a lot of things. I get phone calls, all the time saying, oh, would you like to change to our service? We can make you cheaper. And I say, no, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you very much. And now smart meters for the key. Oh, we want to install smart meters. No, I'm fine, thank you. No, but we want to install them. Well, you might want a bloody installer. I don't want one, thank you. Oh, but the advantages are that you can see exactly how much money you're spending in any one time. Well, I know how much money I'm spending because you send me the bill at the end of the month, and I can see it. Thank you very much. Why do I need to go and keep peering at a meter and starting to think, oh golly, if I turn the kettle on, it's going to cost me? I don't want that worry. Thank you. But we want everybody to be upgraded. Yeah, you want everybody to be upgraded. It's like with direct debits. Yeah, we want you to pay by direct debit. Yeah, but I don't want to pay by direct debit. I want to know that the money's in the bank before I write you the check. Oh, we don't really want to have checks anymore. No, of course you don't. Because it's not for my convenience, all of this. It's all for your convenience. Yeah, but we can make it cheaper if we have it that way. Oh, yeah? And then I'll sign over to you and you'll only put the prices up because that's what you do. Linda says, I had a new meter installed, but I refuse to have it connected. I still read it myself. Yes, I'd much rather read the meter and have autonomy. I don't like this unautonomized world where somebody else is having all the time to manage everything that you do. It's like taking the decision. As so many of decisions are out of our control, I'd like to have some autonomy myself. Mike Stevens says, not about how many possessions you own, it's how you have helped others. Exactly. And I don't want a smart meter, so that's a possession that I don't want. Audrey says, I hope to get the bathroom tiled before I reach my destination. Good for you. Are you tiling? Is your bathroom on the inside of your car? Just joking. Vobe show is future. To be nice. It'd be nice to see the guests, says Jason Patrick. One day we'll visit Worthing and the Sussex coast. Well, you must. It would be lovely. Beware of anything with the word smart in front of it. Yes, like the motorways. I'll just go back on the other side, going to the other side. And we'll have a final chat and then I'll wind it up for today. So I just need to take myself back over there. Of course, there is a slight delay as I move myself across. That's because what one wants... Oh, yeah. One now needs a panning camera to pan as you walk into position, which would be good. Beware of anything smart. Yes, Mike. And Ed Sage, Seamaster, says, my mother is being written to by a supplier once a week to change to a smart meter. No thanks, she keeps saying. Good for her. Good for her. People do want you to change, don't they? And I can understand that, you know, if we didn't change up from analog to digital, it would have been a pain for everybody and pain for the companies still having to do these things. And I can see that there is merit in some things, but I think lived experience, and that's such a horrible thing, experience. You don't need the word lived in front of it, do you? It's just an unnecessary thing. From experience, which implies it is the experience of the person who has lived. So I don't know why I said that, but it's one of these stupid phrases that we all say. But from experience, it tells me that often that all these things they want to do is not always for your benefit, but it's helping them in a way that, you know, in the old days, you used to go into a shop and you'd give the person the list of things from the groceries you wanted, and they would go and collect them from the shelf and put them in the bag for you and do everything. But now we're all ferried over to the self-service that not only have we got to go in the shop and pick them up off the shelf, but we've also got to do the till and everything ourselves for no discount. I always wondered why, you know, okay, I'll buy all this stuff, but if I've got to price it up and all of that, surely there'd be a discount for doing that. Isn't it like 5%, even 5%, if you use that and do it yourself, would be nice rather than somebody else doing it for you. I don't know. The LO Recorder says, you tell 'em, Richard, English individualism rocks. Thank you very much. One's got to stick up, you know. For me, the thing for me is that change is so swift. Change used to be quite a slow process, and you could absorb change and you could go with it. But now change is so fast. I mean, I know there are people, young millennials, who've grown up with change at this speed, at this what seems to be what do they call it? A breakneck pace. And so to them, it's normal. And so when I say, oh, the change is so swift, they can look at me and with a wry smile, because they have been born into this rat race of change. But some people just, who've been around for a while are quite happy with the way things are. And I often just wonder, why do we have to change all the time? What is this? What are we progressing? They keep saying it's progressive, but what are we progressing to? What is this utopia that we're all supposed to be heading for? Paint us the picture first, so we've got an idea, not just keep shoveling along, keep moving that way. Well, what is it? Where are we going? Oh, I don't know, but just keep moving. No, actually, I quite like this place and I like the view. Over there's more motorways and there's more houses and there's more bustle and tension and stress. Here, it's actually quite, yes, but we all want to move and you're dragging your heels. Well, look at this beautiful view. Look at those wonderful trees. Smell that lovely air. Don't you, isn't this nice? Isn't this lovely? And look at the pace of life here. It's great. You want me to keep going there where the windows are smaller and the electric lights are brighter and the stress is more on and we've all got to work harder. Can you remember before laptops, people could get on a train and go 2 hours to work and not have to do anything, read the paper. But now, those commuters who do that, they have their laptop and they put 2 hours in on the laptop on the way to work and 2 hours of work on the way back. They may get paid more, I don't know. But has it really shortened their day? Has the workload become any less? Before mobile phones, you couldn't be contacted. When you went home, that was it. You were home. But now, they can contact you wherever you are. I don't know how much this technology really is helpful. I mean, it is nice, of course, having a mobile phone and taking a picture and sending it to a friend or putting it on social media and saying, hey, look at me, aren't I the bee's knees? But at the same time, it's like you're expected to answer your text or your thing when you're off duty. It's like, oh, it's work. It just seems everybody seems to be working harder and harder than they used to for not a lot more. I never quite understood that. That's why sometimes I do hark back to the old days and you see people in the fields and they work and then they go down the pub and then they have a nice time and no worries. All they know is tomorrow they're just going to carry on digging that drainage ditch or clipping that hedge or digging up that field, which might be 8 hours of back-breaking work and a weak beer at lunchtime and it might be in the driving rain and it might be cold, but you don't hear those people having things like repetitive strain injury and having to go off for counselling or this, that and the other. You don't hear it because they didn't discuss it, I suppose. Linda says you need a short piece of transition music. Yes, I probably need a little jingle or a little, whatever they call it, little bumper that I press a button and it goes, the Vobes show, bum, 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 which gives me enough time to get here. And then I'm here. That's probably what I need. Jim Hook says smart meters seem to be smart at ensuring the supplier charges the highest when you need to use the power. Yeah, this is it. I mean, everything, there is clearly a benefit for the supplier, because why would they go to the expense of doing it? All these things. I mean, if it works and it's not costing any more, why change it? Well, they want to be able to, what difference does it make really, me reading the meter, opening up the cupboard under the stairs, stooping down with a torch and going. I mean, in the old days, somebody used to come to your house, for goodness sake. Somebody would come and knock on the door, go, hello, I'm here to read the meter. Oh, okay. And you'd let them in and they could have a good case of the joint and go, oh, yeah, it's a nice place you got here, Mr. Vobes. And you'd have a chat. You know, in the old days, reading the meter, you could have a 2-minute conversation with him about the weather, probably. But now you don't even get that. You're isolated with that. Now you don't even have to ring in and go, hello, I've got the numbers for you. You don't even have to do that. You know, people are just taking people. Instead, you're talking to Alexa. Alexa, talk to me. I'm lonely. I'm all on my own. Talk to me. Say something. I'm sorry, I don't know what to talk about. No, because you're a bloody robot. David Vad says, no, it's just you. We don't have to change. The companies end up making us change by stealth, says Ed Sage. That's the truth, isn't it? We're nudged all the time. Some of us just don't want to change. We're enjoying life as it is. It's a very slow unfolding. Why should it be a rapid race to the end? Rasputin of Artington says, Richard, I hope you're keeping well, mate. Sorry not to have been around for the Vobes show. Yeah, we've missed you, Rasputin. I hope you're all right. Probably busy doing exciting things. Stop, stand and stare, says the LO recorder. Am I pronouncing that right? Probably not. Mike Stevens says, chewing the cud. Someone's got to chew the cud, haven't they? Why is it just the cows and the sheep that get to chew the cud? I'd like to have a nice go. Technology ought to help us, but actually it shackles us more. I think it does. It's that we don't realise by how much we are shackled to it. Social media, I think, is a very double-edged sword, and it can be useful. But I do know that people become incredibly addicted to it, to the point that social grace goes out the window. People are on their phone like this, checking things. You're there with them to have a conversation, and they're constantly checking. Oh, there's a message. I better reply to it. As if none of that could wait. I mean, do you remember in the old days before answer phones, before answering machines, if you went out, you could have a conversation and there was no fear that anybody outside of that conversation was going to interrupt you. That you could have that conversation without bleeps and bells and snatches of music blaring from everybody's pockets. And I know it's very handy so that you can now lazily look at your phone and find out where the nearest takeaway is or where the nearest shop is and what time they're open. Oh, and by the way, there's an advert on there that tells you might also want to buy a new pair of shoes, seeing as you're looking at the sock shop. And you go, oh, yes, actually, and making you spend more money than you actually intended to do. It's all very useful, and we love all this very useful stuff. But at the same time, I was quite happy in the past. I wasn't unhappy with going into a phone box and putting tuppence in there or 10p to make it. I never thought of it as too much of an inconvenience. I thought it was quite handy having a K6 phone box at the end of the road that took 10 minutes to, I'll just go and make a phone call. And it was a thing. It was an event. Nigel Sadler says, hello, I was about to call you and you popped up. Well, give us a call. Give us a ring. 0793 474 6790 is the number. Look at that, from memory as well. I haven't got the screen in front of me. Andrew Murphy. Hello, Andrew. Nice to see you. We've been missing you, mate. We've had no messages. What is it? A moment of Murphy's. We've been missing those moments. Technology ought to help, but actually shackles you. Oh, yes, there we are. The Salty Train Spotter says, did some bell ringing at Rodmell and Barkham 2 weeks ago. Brilliant. I'm glad to hear it, although I didn't actually hear it, if you see what I mean. What's the meter? It's over about 39 inches away. Oh, yes, there you go. Thank you. Mike Stevens says, at work, people spend every lunch hour on their phones and nobody talks. And Michael White says, I was watching Andrew's film about his village this morning and found myself feeling jealous. Well, I find myself feeling jealous every time I watch his thing. And but the thing with Andrew's stuff, and I love it, but I do, whenever I watch Andrew's videos of his wonderful landscape and the house, particularly in the village and what have you, I always feel that the rest of the world has abandoned him and that he's on a remote island. To me, Andrew very much seems like a Robinson Crusoe character, out there in the wilderness fighting against everything. It was lovely, idyllic, so idyllic. I really like it. And his videos are so well put together, and he's such a great artist. But and I know the property out there is cheap, but I could not leave England. No matter what they're doing to it and making it a place as unwelcoming as possible in many ways, and changing our culture and rewriting our history and all of these things. But I would feel too much of a traitor if I just up sticks and left. I just couldn't do it. But absolutely good luck to Andrew, and it's great that he flies the English flag on his little bit of land on St. George's Day. I think that's fantastic. So there we are. Anyway, we had a good old moan, haven't we? It's coming on to lunchtime now, so I've got to think about that. What to have for lunch. I think I've got some eggs, so I might have some eggs for lunch. What are you having for lunch? Anything nice? Because it might not be lunchtime where you are. You might be watching, as I believe, Jim Hook on the other side of the world, and it's at an awkward time, so it might be a different time. Michael White says, I agree, and I think Sussex is God's country. There's, I need to explore more of England. People rushing abroad, that's fine with me. Let them go. I want them to go. Let them go. This year is going to be more people doing staycations, but I'd love, the populace to just disappear whilst I go out exploring, and so I can actually see it before it gets built on and is destroyed. I often feel I was born in the wrong time, but I don't know what I would do. Probably a bit like William Cobbett and Rural Rides. I'd probably have to do what he did, travel about on horse and write profusely on pamphlets instead of the ease of the internet and the luxury of just sitting at home. That's the sort of thing I would do, I think. Anyway, shall we wrap this up? The test thing works. I can't really see how well this camera is performing. I'm hoping that it's clear and what have you. But I hope to tweak all of this over the next few months and make this a little bit more interesting, what have you, and try and get the lights out the way, because there's, again, too many light stands. The thing about having a bigger room is you just fill it up, don't you? Same with the motorways and the cars, hence the A27 nonsense we were talking about the other day. You make a bigger road, more cars will use it. Of course they will. That's the way it goes. Anyway, I hope you're all having a lovely Saturday, whatever it is. Maybe you're all sitting there watching the internet. It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? He says glibly, I'm very pleased that you are. That's the thing. Absolutely. Anyway, the Vobes show will be back on Monday, and we will do what we do and hope that life is all good. So thank you very much for watching. I've got to go back. I'll say goodbye from the other side of the studio because that's where all the controls are. This is just the sort of relax, having a chinwag area. This was such a nice surprise. Must get on, says Linda Kane. Absolutely. Nigel Sadler says Eurovision tonight. Well, I will be a vision, actually. You don't know what I'm going to wear. Tonight I should be wearing a spangled sequined number, but only myself will see it. What I get up into my own time is my own thing. Oh, you mean Eurovision Song Contest with the likes of Australia, that very famous European country. Yeah. I will be missing that. Desperately missing that, and fortunately I don't use Twitter, so I won't be seeing any of the terrible tweets that come out. It's not my thing at all. I haven't watched it since I was a kid, but if you're into that, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it goes down well. I'm going to go on the other side of the studio to finish up, so imagine, use your imagination now, imagine there's this lovely jingle. Do 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 do. La 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 la. And here he is. So there we go. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a lovely little test, and I appreciate you coming along and spending a few minutes with me, about an hour, I suppose. Just under the hour, it says on there. But in the meantime, I've got some things to do. I prepare some lunch, tidy up, clean up, and check my smart meter. Thank you for watching. Look after yourselves. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you on Monday with the lovely Julia, hopefully, here. Whoops. And we can try and bring you some fun thrills and spills. Until then, take care. Nice to see you. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.